Happy Wednesday. It's Brian Terry in here from the Disability Digest, and welcome to our YouTube live show today. Today, we're going to share with you some real life stories that we hope you find value in and helping you understand like the aspects of getting your disability benefits approved, keeping them, maximizing them. And I'd like everybody to welcome for the first time at our YouTube Live is Miss Nadine. Wonderful to have you here.
Hi.
Welcome, Nadine.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. It's so nice to be here. Hi,
Yeah.
everyone.
Appreciate the contribution. And Philip, great to have you with us and back with
Always
us.
glad to be here. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Um, so there's a lot going on out there, but one of the things I want to start with is picking up from last week. Philip is here. Because he runs a very successful Facebook group that continues to grow. And we work together with Philip because his groups provide support and we provide the tools here at the Disability Digest. So that's the hand in hand. So I'd opened my big mouth the other day and said that, we would do some type of a prize for Philip's group when they reach this amazing milestone that he's embarking on, which is 10,000 members. And you're getting closer.
Close, real close.
Yes. So for those of you that are out there and those that joined since the presentation last week, there's the opportunity for you to win a prize. And so what we're doing
Wow.
is, yeah, yeah. We're doing it pays to be present is what it's called. And for those that enroll in the group between 9,600 and 10,000, they're entered into a drawing. And we're
Mhm.
going to have the drawing once you hit that 10,000 milestone. And the drawing will be a $50 Amazon gift card. We'll just pull it out of the hat. Now, if that individual in your group is also a member of the Disability Digest, we'll double it, make it 100.
Wow.
And
That,
and if that member is present at the live event when we draw their name, confirm that they're a Disability Digest member, we will pay them twice that, which will be 200. So there's 200 bucks on the line. Yep.
oh,
And
wow.
then
That's why it pays to be present.
pays to be present.
Ah, cool.
And then we're going to pay $100 to that person that is the 10,000. So, yeah, it's like one of those things where I got drunk and started giving away all kinds of money, but I'm glad to do it, Philip. Yeah.
Well, the members will appreciate it, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, well, we appreciate you guys. You're doing great work, so glad to support it. Um, So, folks, if you are new here, welcome or welcome back here at the Disability Digest and these live events. Our focus is to be a trusted resource for you, to share information that will help you get your benefits, keep them, maximize them. We've been doing this type of work since 2006. And at the Disability Digest, if you're a member, there's no charge for your membership. You join us and we give you a laser targeted approach to where you need to go. Um, but there's 192,000 members that we're serving at the Disability Digest, which is our privilege to do so. So needless to say, the point is we've learned a lot. We've heard different stories and experiences. You'd like to think you've heard them all, but I don't think there is such a thing. Um, so that's the information that we attempt to relay to you. So thank you for tuning in. And if you happen to know of anybody that would benefit from the work that we do, whether it's joining these live events or subscribing to our channel, or if they need a customized approach and want to join us as a member, we would appreciate it if you would share the word. I mean, that's what makes us work. There's no charge for these events, no charge for the membership, but we're like a radio or a TV station where we earn money through ads, sponsors, and services. So the more members we have, the more service we provide, the better we can do for you with the more revenue that we generate. That's just how our world works here. Okay.
And there's no charge in sharing as well. So you might just help another
I,
individual out there.
I like that. I like that. Yeah. That's a really good point. I mean, the average disability benefit package is $447,000. That's the cash payments that somebody would get if they, versus if they didn't get approved. So you're basically, you can look at it, you're like giving the gift of money. The younger you are, the more that would be, but that's an average. It's not my average. It's somebody else in the industry, Charles Hall. He did the math. I just followed it. Good. So for today, what we're going to do is we are going to go through some real life scenarios, success stories. And then I believe we have some questions, Philip, that you have collected from your group that we want to cover. And if you have any other questions, what we're going to do is ask that you put those in the chat, either the chat on Facebook or on YouTube. And just a heads up, we have done phone-in calling. We're going to be changing the format of that. That we are very excited to do, but some people get annoyed with us because only one person can call at a time. If somebody calls, the other one can't. So it has not had the effectiveness that we've liked. So in 2 weeks, we're going to have a new format that hopefully will be a lot more favorable for you folks. All right. Okay. How about this? Nadine, if we could start with you, ladies first, as always, around here. Right, Philip?
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Thanks
don't
for
know
that.
what to do when David's here. We three of us get confused. We don't know who goes first, but it's easy today.
Yeah. All right. The ladies first privilege.
Ladies first privilege.
Uh,
You have an interesting situation that I would like you to share with the group that we can kind of review the situation and then kind of riff on some of the variables of it. So take it away.
yeah, sure. So, I've interviewed a lot of members and encountered a lot of similar stories, but there is this one unique case that really stood out that I don't know if some of our members here can relate. So I spoke with this member. Um, she wanted to file for Social Security disability income, but at that time when she wanted to file, she didn't qualify. But she was supposed to qualify if SSA didn't make a mistake in 2021, wherein they failed to account her W-2 amounting to 2 work credits. So
Mm,
if SSA corrects this error, she's going to have enough credits for eligibility. Now, another challenge is that if they correct it, she has to file within this year in order to be eligible, because if she files the next year, she wouldn't have enough work credits.
hmm
So, yeah, I think the impact here is on the timing and filing, and you know the importance of knowing your work credits and how they affect your disability qualification. So yeah, I want to hear your thoughts as well, Brian, Philip. What do you think should an individual do, or what are the steps to take to make sure that they would have enough work credits? And if it happens that there's a discrepancy, what are the best steps to do?
hmm
Um, mhm.
Philip, you have anything to add on this?
Just that, if you are gonna have to go back in and show documentation of the time frame that you're talking about, that you had worked and earned your credits, you need to be sure and show as much information about that as you can
Mhm.
to prove that you were insured during that time. It's going to be tough, but people have done it in the past,
Mhm.
and it's not something that is unattainable. You can get it done. It's just going to take a little bit of work to do it,
Yeah.
and for sure, don't give up on it. If you just be strong and might seek out some other help from somebody that is familiar with the work credits and the Social Security Administration.
That's good advice. I did some work on how to find out if your check is calculated. Um,
Did
and I'm
Mike,
going,
did Mike, was his uh, miscalculated or missed? What was the
who are we talking about?
Mike Hatterton?
I
I
don't
didn't want
know
to
if
mention his
I don't
name.
remember that piece of it. But I I will I'll put this in the chat, Nadine, and the Zoom chat. And what I'm going to reference here is for those of you that are out there or know somebody, I feel it's really important to proactively follow your earnings and how they're tracked with Social
Mhm.
Security, because it could be in this situation, it's a matter of getting benefits or not getting benefits. Um, but it could also be like, it could be other related situations. The point is they do make mistakes. So when this video that I asked Nadine to share,
Yeah.
spread around will show you like how your check is calculated. You can go in and see your earnings history in your SSA account, and that's really important to do so. And I just want to share a few more thoughts on this is that 28% of the people that come here to the Disability Digest, we cannot help. And the reason why we're not able to help them is they haven't worked enough over the last 10 years to qualify for a disability check. It doesn't matter what their medical situation is. It's either you have the disability credits or not. Now, if they qualify for welfare, which is a totally different program, a lot less money in insurance, that's a whole different benefit program. But I'm talking about Social Security disability, something that people paid for.
Yeah.
Um, and the challenge, I have a situation I'm going to go through with you in a moment. The challenge that a lot of people have is they maintain optimism that they're going to get better, and which respect for that. Um, but you have to be careful about that because it can expire, and if it goes away, and as I mentioned, the average benefit package is $447,000,
Mhm.
and maybe you're all right with that, but I don't think most people are. So.
I I have a follow-up question to that. Like in this member's case, it wasn't her fault that her work credits were not accounted for, right? So let's say, for example, it gets fixed in January. Is there a way that she can still file and like backtrack her eligibility? What do you think?
Ye- I'm sure there's a specific regulation, but my take is if we were to actually work on that case directly, we would submit the application and follow up with a letter
Mm.
stating the corresponding, regulation that says she was insured during this time. You made the mistake. Here's
Mhm.
supporting documentation. Um, yeah, so
All right.
definitely would proceed with that. The worst they can do is say no, and then you got to continue to fight. I think there's a variety of other steps that can be put in place there, as long as she has proof that
Yeah.
it was on them. So
All right.
that was a good one. So the bottom line to this one is know your numbers. Follow
Yeah.
your, even if you're working, it's people come to us and they're working full time. It's like, all right, get do some financial planning, find out your check amount. Understand if you have kids under 18, they're going to get a check too. What's that all going to look like?
Mhm.
That's a good one.
All right.
Okay. Um, I have a situation that I want to share. I met somebody local here, my new friend. I'm going to keep his name anonymous. I'll go by HH. Um, and he asked me for some help on a situation regarding one of his relatives. So I'm going to lay out the scenario for you, and then we can kick it around with that. So, 47-year-old female lives in Nevada, which really doesn't have any, maybe a little bit to do with it. Um, is currently working and earning like under $1,000 a month, um, and has rent that takes up most of that. So there's typically a gap, like commonly a gap. She has parents that are covering it. Parents are elderly and they're covering the gap. So there might be, I think the rent was 800, earning 1,000. So there's still not enough there. And it wasn't known if she's been able to maintain a full-time job ever, but has had consistent part-time earnings in this range right here. Um, so we can come back to the earnings and the work credits piece of that. Is on state Medicaid, so is able to see doctors consistently, right? Is highly educated. I don't remember if she has a master's and a doctorate, but she's been through a lot of school, does super well academically. But the consequence of that is she has $400,000 in student loans. Um, and as far as conditions, she has autoimmune conditions, light sensitivity, and she has another condition that I had never heard of. I'm going to share my screen and put it up there. Yeah, it is this right here.
Mhm.
Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. The so what she experiences is like there could be times when there's discomfort with the hips, or the hips actually come out of place, um, overly flexible joints. So that creates musculoskeletal challenges. I expect sitting and standing. Uh, I don't know about the lifting component of it, but that's one of the key things that is uh, preventing her, as well as fibromyalgia, light sensitivity, and there may be others that I didn't take note of. But she's treating, got major conditions, still working. Um, and hasn't filed because, maintained optimism that maybe could get back to work.
Mhm.
So let's start with this. In your opinion, based on what I've shared with you, ask me any more questions if you like. What are some of the challenges that this individual would face, first of all, in going through the approval process? You both have talked to like lots and lots and lots of members and help people get approved. What would some of the challenges be? Philip, your audio, we can hear you, but it's kind of faint.
That better?
A little better.
See what I can do. Go ahead, Nadine, while we wait.
Oh, I can hear you better now. That was good.
There. Oh, I think you're on mute again.
Let's start with the age. Is the age going to be beneficial or not?
What was the age again?
47.
47. Yeah, usually at around that age, it could be a bit challenging to get approved based on experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
And with her condition, it's also the first time that I heard of that. Uh, so it could be that she could get a recommendation that she can still do light work, like
Mm-hmm.
office
Mm-hmm.
desk job, right? So,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and based on age as well.
Right. Because of her age and the fact that she's under 50, she would need to prove that she's not able to do any job, right?
Yeah.
5 days a week, 40 hours a week, a box store greeter, somebody that sits in the parking garage attendant
Mhm.
booth, making sure that, people can get their credit cards to work type thing.
What was
Um,
it? What was the extent of her education again?
well, she's highly educated.
Highly educated.
She has a either a master's and or a doctorate. She might have
Doctor.
both.
What's
Yeah.
her transferable skills? Do you know that?
Uh,
Does she?
that I that I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because she hasn't really had any consistent full-time work. She's been undercompensated.
Mhm.
That's a good question. Yeah. So, all right. So we talked about the age. How will working impact her ability to get approved?
Depends on how much she's going to try to work.
So right now she's earning about $1,000 a month. She's earning working, I think it's 10 hours a week.
10 hours a week. Well, that should not affect her, but anytime you're working any type of job and you're trying to file for disability, it's going to be a consideration to Social Security.
Hmm.
How long you're working, how much you're earning, and the type of work you're doing.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It's
And
not
and
it's not it's not it's not totally impossible, but it just makes it harder.
makes it
Mm.
harder. And
I
what
think
we
that's a,
go ahead,
oh,
Nadine.
sorry. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting topic to also discuss because we're getting a lot of scenarios like this wherein an individual is, really having a hard time to work because of their condition, but they gotta work in order to pay for daily expenses. So it's hard for them to give up work.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, there's one part of this that comes to mind with this particular situation is with the work that she's doing, even though it's only 10 hours, I believe that's what it is, around $1,000.
Mm.
Are there any accommodations? Is she being allowed to like take naps, come in late, leave early? Is there part of the job task that she is not doing because her conditions don't allow her to do it and somebody else is? That can definitely drive down the value of that income and time that she's working. So that's another thing for this situation and others. Okay, so we- we've talked about age, work. What about her education? Highly educated. It's very good in school.
Where the well, she was 47,
Yeah.
Mm.
Hmm.
so the transferable skills may not be considered in the grid rule. Is that right?
Well, it could. Here's another thing. If you can demonstrate that you can learn,
Mhm.
then they could say, well, okay, you've proven that you can learn. You've got these 2 degrees. Okay, you're not able to do this right now, but you go over there and be the guy or
Yeah,
gal who sits in the parking, booth. Um, so they
yeah.
could
You're not.
that could definitely be an argument there. So that's
Yeah,
something that you would need to definitely prove
Mhm.
around in a case theory. And listen, folks, if you're listening to this out there and you're approved for disability, same thing's going to apply to you. If you go back through a review, you're going to be faced with the same type of scrutiny. So you're not. I wish you were off the hook, but you're
Mhm.
not. And I only expect those reviews to increase, especially in light of what happened yesterday politically. So, um, Okay, so we've talked about those are the three things that come to mind for me. The challenges are going to be the age, work, and the education. Now, let's roll forward and look on the brighter side of life. Goes through, able to get approved. The point is that one thing that I think about is individuals like this. There's really, in my opinion, no reason not to apply. If you can, you know, look at it that it's not going to cost you anything, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And if this individual continues to have work that is going to deteriorate, which, and that's what the indication is, then could find herself in a situation like your example, Nadine, where you get to a
Yeah.
point where you're out of work credits. We don't know if she has enough work credits now. I'm just presuming that she does based on part-time income. But the longer this goes on, the higher the probability that whatever checks she has is going to deteriorate because she's going to be earning less money and eventually go away. So have to take that into consideration, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's roll it forward and say that this individual goes through and gets approved. And we don't know what the monthly check amount is, but let's say it's $1,000, right?
Hmm.
So has $1,000 coming in from Social Security check, and I expect could still work at the capacity or similar capacity now. So could have that income. Let's call that another
Hmm.
1,000. So doubles the income, 2,000. Um, and then right now is currently on Medicaid, but could get access to Medicare, which is better than Medicaid. Whole
Hmm.
different conversation there. Now the other thing that comes to mind is student loans. Approved for disability, very, very high probability that those could be forgiven. So
Hmm.
you would not have the $400,000 debt. You'd be able to double your income and improve your insurance. Yeah. Kind of sounds like one of those Price is Right games where you like win everything. But no, that's the possibility that is here. And the downside, unfortunately, if the condition continues to progress, is it's going to deteriorate the income and the possibilities of all of this, right? Any other thoughts on this situation?
No.
Okay. All right. I want to pivot into one that happened here for us that I expect, I'm in hopes will lend value to the example that I just went through for my Vermont friend here. Um, we had a member join us, wanted help getting approved, so we partnered with her as a representative. Use the initials GB to keep her anonymous. So we started working with her in February of 2022. So as a representative, she'd already applied. So we got on the job afterwards. Um, so she had been, she returned to work. I'm not quite sure when she returned to work, but she just went to court and the representative that went to court with her on our team was aware that she had returned to work full time. So she was out of work from 2021 to 2023. We got on the case like in the middle of that. So sometime in 2023, she went back to doing the same type of work on a full-time basis. So in court, the argument was, Your Honor, yes, she is working. That's correct. But we are proposing a closed period of disability, which she's entitled to a closed period of disability if her medical conditions support that. even though she went back to work. So she'll probably get like 2 years of benefits. Let's say her check is $2,000 a month for, 2 years. She could get $50,000 for that period of time that she was out of work. Probably help her out. So here's my point. Like for those that are kind of on the fence about applying, thinking you're going to get better, well, if you don't, or if you do, I don't know that. But if you go back to work, or in this situation, went back to work, you can do that. You can get a closed period of disability. And there's lots of opportunities to return to work. So I'm in hopes that that example helps somebody out. Now, one other thing on this, situations like this closed period of disability, they're ideal for people to consider that have conditions that will keep you out for a while. Like could be a stroke where it's going to be an extended period of recovery, right? You're not going to be able to work. You're going to need treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Heart attack, cancer, surgeries, familiar with hip replacements. Have one done, have the other one done. You have a job that demands that you do certain things, that type of stuff. So the disability system can be used for a, kind of a return to work type um, program. So those were some of the examples. And I also just want to give a shout out to those of you that are out there that on our YouTube channel, we keep a scroll of like 80 to 90 success stories in a category. Like what you're seeing right now is disability approval success stories. So,
Mm-hmm.
the older ones, sometimes we take them out and we put newer ones in. So there's a link to this particular one that's in the show notes, but you can go to our YouTube channel and you can look at, there's ones about disability approval. There's ones about for those that are already approved. Um, there is ones for veterans. We have Veterans Day coming up, so there's a collection of veterans success stories. So go in and learn from others. You might not be the same age or have the same condition, or maybe you just need some optimism. I don't know what value exactly you'll get out of it, but I'm in hopes that there is something that you can take from others that have gone before you. And if you have a story that you want to share to add to this, I mean, our whole thing is like getting information and sharing it so others can benefit. We'd love to hear from you. Um, so for today's part of the program, I hope that you found value in this and the case studies that we have shared with you. Want to take some time now to address some questions. So how about this? How about Philip? Um, we start with the questions that you have collected, and then Nadine, if you can monitor. Oh my gosh, look at
Sure.
the questions in chat.
Mhm.
The ones in chat. We'll do the best we can to get through them. I've got about 20 minutes, I'd say 25 minutes. Um, so what do you say, Philip?
Before I get,
Oh, we have an issue. You're on mute. I think you're still on mute. Nadine, can we pivot to you while Philip gets his audio checked?
am I
Oh,
there?
yeah, sure. Oh, there. Philip
You
is
back,
back.
Philip?
I'm back.
Okay,
Sorry
you're
about
messing
that.
with me, aren't you? You think I'm going to be able to read your lips, figure it
Yeah,
all out. I know.
you haven't learned yet?
Trying.
All right. Before I get started with these questions, I got something I want to share that I spoke with a lady yesterday. And this is just for everybody out there that has not filed and are thinking about filing, and should they file? Um, Sometimes time is of the essence. Um, anyway, this lady I spoke with yesterday, she's 53-year-old lady. She stopped working in 2019.
Ooh.
Yeah. And she called me and said, I did an interview with her, asked her all the pertinent questions. And when she said she stopped working in 2019, I said, well, do you know what your DLI is? Date last insured. And she said, no, what is that? And I explained it to her. I said, before we can move any further, and if I can help you, what you need to do is call Social Security, find out what your DLI is. And if it's coming up pretty quick, which I'm assuming it is, because 2019 to
Right.
2024 is how many years?
Right.
That's five years. So anyway, she called, her DLI is December 31st.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I told her, I said, and from the interview, I found out what her symptoms were, what her limitations were, and what type of work, all that. Anyway, I said, well, call me back when you find out what it is, and I'll complete an interview and we'll determine if we can help you out. So the moral of the story is, don't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as you stop working, if you think you're not going to be able to continue working, then you really need
Yeah.
That's a
to
good
file
point.
for your disability as soon as possible.
Can I add one thing to that?
Yeah.
It's really good what you did. You basically saved this lady if she can get approved. But for anybody else that's out there, one of the other strategies I encourage you to think about is if you apply for disability benefits like 8 or 10 months out of work, somewhere around there, right? It's going to take you like 3 years to go through the system. If you go through your initial and you get denied, then you file a reconsideration if it's in your state. But regardless, it's going to be 3 years. So if you are in a situation where you go through and part of this is a numbers game. You could end up with a bad judge in a great case and not get approved, but that means you have to go through it again. So if you start 8 or 10 months, you've got two shots at this. This individual that Philip is referencing, she's got one. She's waited too long. So she's got to top shelf the whole thing, make sure it's right if she wants to get it done. So it's another thing to keep in mind about timing. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. First question. I'm getting ready to fill out the paperwork for her work history report for my reconsideration, and just wondering if anybody could give me any. She's got planners on. I'm assuming that means advice for on what's best or the best way to fill that out. Work
So
history report.
it's interesting that they're asking for work history at the reconsideration level.
Yeah, just notice that. That's
Maybe she's in one of those states where it's been so long they're having them redo the paperwork or they lost it. Um, so I'm just going to pull something up here. I mean, we we have at the Disability Digest when you join us as a member, and I don't know if this individual is or not. Once you complete your profile, it would direct you into a disability approval course. So I'm going to pull it up on our screen here. And it's broken, the disability approval course is broken down into sections. And there's a specific section for, I'm good at doing one thing at a time. So I start doing another thing and I talk and I stutter. So bear with me, folks. I'm getting it together. Always looking to like, um, so here on the screen is the overview of the disability approval course. So you join, fill out your profile, it directs you into this. And the course is put together with industry experts, Attorney Ginsburg, Attorney Osterhow, Barbara Mountain, Attorney James Mitchell Brown, Michael Sexton, lots of contributions from our members. So for each segment, there's how to file your application, what to do while you're waiting, and then there's the reconsideration appeal. Um, those documents are typically done at this stage. So, um, if you're not a member, I would join as a member and get access to the disability approval course. There's a interview with directions by Attorney Osterhow, who explains the critical importance of filling out these forms and what to do step by step, each line all the way through. So it'll take all the guesswork out of it. It's just a matter of understanding that he's been doing this for like 30 years and he's credible. And it's pretty easy to find out. So that would be my recommendation, to get this done correctly at no charge. Up. You're muted again, Philip.
All right. Well, we wait for Philip to get his audio sorted out. We got a question here from the comments, Brian. He is asking, what's the difference between an annual wellness checkup versus a health risk assessment?
I
Doc
know.
told, yeah,
Okay. I'm not
she was
sure.
told that he's gonna be required to do an annual HRA from Medicare, and then insurance also asked to take a separate one.
Okay. So I know this from the Medicare work that I do for those that I work with as an agent. When you complete an enrollment, it asks you to do a health assessment, and it's a general question about um, conditions, and uh, it, it's really vague. So I know that's what the health risk assessment is, and it used to be just on certain plans, but they are doing it on most plans, if not all now. What was the other test that was being asked?
Oh, he didn't specify, but he just said that insurance also called to take a separate one. So I guess the same test, but one from Medicare and another from insurance.
Okay. Another reason that this could be done is there's um, special needs programs for Medicare Advantage, Medicare Part C, that are really,
Mm.
really good. So you can access these through conditions, like common conditions like diabetes or heart or stroke, the ones that I mentioned earlier. And so if you apply and are going into one of those, it is possible that they're calling to validate that you have these conditions, that they're being treated properly. So
Mhm.
I would say my answers on that for the health assessment, I know what that is. The other one, I'm probably in the 87 to 92% accuracy on that.
Mm.
Hear me now?
Uh, yeah, it's cutting in or out, but I'm getting some of it.
All right, let me try. All right, next question is, if I was already approved for SSDI but did not know about auxiliary benefits for children, can I still apply for them? And how do I do that?
Yes, you can contact your local office, or if you used a representative in the approval process, they can submit it for you. But definitely, if they're under 18, it could be a lot of money for your household.
Next one is, if I need to appeal my husband's on my husband's behalf, should I do this online or in person?
Mm, so, like, do we know, like, more? Is it like an initial application that was denied, etc.?
Don't know.
I'll just speak from the work that we do and the cases that we are representing. We do everything online because it's digital and it's easy to track. And the paperwork, in-person stuff, they just have a really hard time getting that right. And so as a quick side note, if you send anything to Social Security, keep copies, make sure that you just have confirmation of receipt. So I'd do that definitely online.
Next one here, this one's a little long, so bear with me.
Sure.
Says I'm on LTD, was just denied my SSDI, and the company, I won't mention the name, through my LTD carrier is helping me to appeal. I am on the fence as to whether I should cut ties with them and get an attorney. Caseworker appealed without any conversation with me and my symptoms, or about my symptoms, or what this disease means for me in day-to-day life.
Mm.
I get the feeling they are on the insurance side and the carrier side more than mine.
This is a really good one. If anybody out there has a long-term disability policy, listen up. I'm going to give you the condensed version because when Attorney Brown was here a few weeks ago, this is it came up then too. Um, so what commonly happens is you have a long-term disability policy from your work, and you are out on short-term, long-term disability, and then they're like, hey, your policy says you need to apply for Social Security disability. We've got firm XYZ over here. It could be an attorney or non-attorney firm over here that we'll refer you to help you out. We're going to send the medical records over and everything. So that's easy. It sounds good, and it could be good. And I have people I know that do this work, and it's great, but it's not the case for all of them. Here's some things to consider. The long-term disability company that is referring you to somebody, that they have a working relationship, and that working relationship is earned from the disability representative by really courting them and uh, proving that they can do well by the claimants. And in most of these working relationships, you have to take into consideration who the real client is, like was mentioned in this. The client is the Social Security disability company's client is really the long-term disability company because that's their lifeline. That's who's feeding them. Another thing to keep in mind, I might get in trouble for saying this, but what the hell? um, the a lot of these companies are Social Security disability companies are forced to work at a reduced fee. Like the standard fee agreement for disability representation is 25% of the back benefits, capped at 7,200. If it's after November 31st of this year, it goes up to 9,200. Many of these firms, and maybe most, maybe all of them, are working at like 50%. So they get their fee capped at like 4,000. So you might say, oh, that's still a lot of money. Well, yeah, okay, it is, but it's tough to do the necessary custom work that needs to be done on this. And you don't win every case, and you don't get paid the full fee on all these. So the cost of doing business for these firms or non-attorney representatives are getting squeezed. So what does that mean for your service? They have to operate super efficiently. And are you getting the best value? Because you pay the same amount for a disability representative. It's not like your fee is discounted for disability representation. That's not it, right? So those are some of the things that you need to evaluate. And I say evaluate because not all situations are the same. And there are instances where people are getting great disability representation. They just don't understand it, right? So they're like, oh, it's like a lot of things in life. They're like, I'm going to fire them and move on to the next one. It may not be that way. Perhaps it's something you can work out. Good question. Got some good ones today.
Probably should let Nadine go now. See if there's
All
any
right. That's nice of you,
chats.
Philip.
Thank you for that. Anyway, I'm not sure if today is the right time to discuss this, but maybe we can get your opinion, Brian, because there's a lot of people in the comment section who's wondering about the same question from Mike Clark. So, with Trump now in the office, what's going to happen with our Social Security payments? I understand he's going to cut off 20%, but will eliminate tax. And a lot detailed to his question.
Um, there wasn't an election? Huh. These are good questions. And right now, generally, it's too early to tell. The one thing that we are preparing for is a December event with Attorney James Mitchell Brown, who is the most qualified, like with the ins and outs. He's actually like involved in Congress and knows what's going on. I'm not saying I don't. But I do share your concern about the changes. Um, and I'll speak to it in this fashion. The one thing that does that could really have an impact on disability recipients is if the payroll tax is reduced as it's expected to be, because it's a payroll tax that funds Social Security. And if that does happen, then there's like 6 years where the fund will be, that's which is pretty quick. It will be solvent. I mean, there won't be any monies in there. So that's the biggest concern. Will that happen? Or if that is the case, will the Fed print money? That's one thing that's on my mind. But I'll say this, I've been doing this work for 18 years, and I've seen different like political positions on this. I've seen Social Security function bad. I've seen them function worse. I've seen them function better. Now, my point is it's going to be really difficult for anybody politically or any party to survive by putting such catastrophic types of changes in that would reduce the disability check when we already have inflation and all that stuff's going on. So that's I just encouraging you. I don't have the answers. I'm just encouraging you to have faith. Hang out. Too early to tell. We'll know more when Attorney Brown comes here, and we'll have a better feel for what's going on. So in the meantime, cash your checks. And as always, I encourage people to look for different ways that you can maximize your income. That's what we work with you to teach you how to do here.
Okay. I hope that satisfies everyone's curiosity.
I'm going to go with no, but it's the best
No.
I got right now. Yeah. I'm just the messenger. That's all. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, we also have a question here from Donald Brewer. I think we can discuss this one. He said this is related to what we talked about earlier, but maybe he just joined. So he's 60 years old, 100% rated disabled in VA with musculoskeletal issues, but he is still working. 23 years as a finance manager, same job.